Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Get Ready to Embrace the Era of Web3 seminar organized by the HKTDC. Today, we are pleased to have Dr. Jeannice Samani, Founding Managing Director of FSG, Ms. Bowie Lau, Founder and Managing Director of MaGEHold, Mr. Jonathan Moy, Co-founder and CEO of Moongate. Without further ado, let's pass the stage to Dr. Jeannice Samani, Founding Managing Director of FSG, please.
Lei Hao Mao. Thank you to the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, to the United States Department of Commercial Services. It is a great honor and pleasure to be with you today for this opportunity to speak about what is my passion, technology. I am Dr. Jeannice Samani, Founding Director of FSG. We are based in Silicon Valley as well as the greater Detroit area. So we're here to talk about winning digital technology and how it actually is changing the world and being disruptive. Our focus on smart cities, FSG in particular, has basically three pillars. We manufacture data centers. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company. We also have an IT service that provides transformative and transdisciplinary training and development in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, entrepreneurship, as well as medicine. In this dynamic landscape of digital era, where innovation is the currency of progress, the transformative opportunities and potentials for Web3 stands as a beacon of guidance and focus upon giving us direction of decentralization. So we're going to talk a bit about the decentralization and how that integrates with artificial intelligence. Looking at this future controlling activity from which there are one authority. As we dive into this very intricate realm of unlocking the power of Web3 to actually empower SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises in a global digital economy. This very fabric actually will revolutionize how business is done. It will weave in new fabrics and new threads of opportunity with tokens, smart contracts, and this decentralization autonomy in organizations. And it is a phenomenal opportunity just to have the concepts of consideration as we move forward into thinking about these aspects of Web3. How one could leapfrog as an organization, as a country, as an entity into what can be seen as new opportunities and new frontiers. Also to unveil exactly the nature of Web3 and considering how it actually benefits our businesses and the society in which we live and how we can actually navigate. So with that said, let's dive in a bit deeper into exactly what are we talking about. So let's think about the history, because we can't talk about the present and where we're going without knowing the history. In considering Web 1, you may be very familiar. I don't know if many of you were around using the internet back in the 1990s, but it was an opportunity where there was stagnant input to the internet. That is Web 1. Where organizations began to pop up, such as eBay. You could sell things online, and also, of course, the notorious Google was established. So in thinking about these organizations in Web 1, it really did not, it was an information economy. There was very little output or development from the standpoint of society actually changing or training and developing the internet. but yet it was definitely a tool of communication. And moving into Web 2, we began to think about and see more apps being developed. During that time, there were thousands of apps. Every manufacturer from Nokia to Apple were paying developers and individuals that were interested in developing applications. So therefore, you found Facebook, of course, you found music apps, Twitter came into fold, and it began to develop this economy, this platform in which there was a dialogue of information that was being created. Not only during Web 2 were we this robust opportunity of developing applications, but yet more and more information was being generated because more people were online. And the information had no way of actually being utilized. So now as we move into Web 3, it is the empowering opportunity for small and medium-sized companies globally in this digital platform to actually have a quantum leap, if you will, and take those challenges and norms of their predecessors, which is Web 1 and Web 2, to actually incrementally develop and envision the internet and what it could be. Through Web 3, there's a decentralization of this system that actually develops and processes developing new devices and new opportunities for innovation. And I consider it to be the bedrock, the foundation. In thinking about Web 3, we want to consider blockchain as a key element of Web 3. And within blockchain, it gives us an opportunity to actually build out a lot of the predecessors, which is looking at data marketing and branding, looking into e-commerce opportunities, collaboration and communication, because now it's two ways. There's that engagement factor in which the society and individuals that are using this technology are actually creating it themselves. Looking into customer engagement and feedback is a true benefit to our society and in business in particular to SMEs. While we think about marketing and the positioning and the competition that actually has happened during Web 2, we can move forward with those challenges that actually allow us to be accessible and to develop these platforms. The cost and accessibility, of course, and adaptation to the internet happened during Web 2. So we're moving that into Web 3 as we begin to embark upon this new era. One of the major concerns that always come about whenever I speak about technology, of course, is security. So thinking about data security and the concerns around small and medium-sized companies that face those challenges began with Web 2. Again, talking about the predecessor in order to talk about the present and into the future. Handling their sensitive information by their customers and being able to keep their privacy. And as I said in Morocco last week to a group, who owns the data? Who truly owns your data? So we want to consider and I'm going to leave that as an open question maybe for further discussion later. So looking at our digital skills and the gap of the digital divide is always a concern. Making sure that everyone has access to the technology and is able to utilize it. It began with that challenge in Web 2. Whereby the commerce was robust, and we're in a society, especially here in Hong Kong, where that is a really true element of the GDP. So looking at this dependency of the platform and algorithms, meaning, again, that the society is actually training. You're training the internet to know what to put onto your site. You're training the internet to actually pop up. How many of us have actually purchased something and decided not to purchase it, but then it comes up again? And you think, oh my goodness, how do they know? They know, believe me. So the training and those elements are a key factor. So Web3, again, is this third revolution of the web by characterizing the decentralization, the openness, the embracing of the bottom line design philosophy. These characteristics are actual features, are the framework of blockchain technology. The integration of blockchain technology became critical and crucial in order to develop the actual infrastructure of security. Remember a moment ago, I spoke about the privacy and the data. So thinking about the transparency and that important data that you have and information that you have actually given over to the internet, either your name, address, credit card, etc., your likes or your dislikes are all part of information that has become value and becomes data. So the Web3 framework allows for us to continue to look and to separate these identifiable tools within the web. Web3 also, when it comes to blockchain, marks this transformative step forward for users. By controlling the digital landscape and putting emphasis and significance on the interconnectivity of forcing and moving forward into this decentralized and empowered online experience. So as we begin to think about the core of Web3, what exactly is Web3? Let's think about that. So I would love to, because I'm a former professor, so I would love to open it up, but for the sake of the environment today, I'll give you a bit of insight. At the core of Web3, we are creating a new generation of internet to actually build the blockchain, built on the blockchain technology. It promises that more decentralization and more security, more transparency of the current web. It actually is a generative new alignment of seamless ethos. This traditional AI model, by the integration of having the generative AI, because it's new, into a decentralized framework, it opens the door for additional models to be built. So the internet is one single authority, hence the decentralization. This innovative paradigm actually leverages the power of blockchain. It allows for us to build a web that is meaningful, it has connection, it inspires and aspires to create a user-centric, transparent internet experience. So in looking at our actual opportunity of building our Web3, we want to really put emphasis on blockchain. Blockchain is the security element and tool that actually synergizes between Web3 and this particular tool of blockchain, which is the pivotal opportunity to shape the future. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that blockchain is not cryptocurrency. So if we're looking at blockchain, it does play an intricate and foundational role in the evolution of Web3, offering a robust infrastructure that aligns seamlessly with these principles of decentralization. So here is a schematic about the various elements within Web3 that are critical. Artificial intelligence plays a key role, which gives us the opportunity to aggregate large amounts of data. And through that data, we can actually transform and transcend into business intelligence. Again, we're talking about unlocking Web3 for small and medium-sized companies. So with that opportunity of aggregating the data, you can actually put emphasis on the prediction of how that information is going to be used. And as we continue on, we're building up an entire new web system
That web system allows for us to have graphics in 3D, and it puts you into the context of a real world environment, either artificial intelligence or virtually artificial environments, such as the metaverse. Our company is actually developing a platform that we will have up in January that allows for teaching and interaction into the metaverse using Web3, as well as developing the connectivity. So we're looking at our benefits. The benefits of Web3 are seamless and endless. We have the opportunity of actually building out new freedoms within the development for SMEs, and the rational opportunities of collaboration. Regulatory compliance is always a key challenge. Looking at the user education and the adaption factors. So I want to give the challenges as well as some of the benefits. If we're looking at the rational addressing the legal and ethical concerns, because that always comes up with artificial intelligence or AI, it is to consider the essence of gaining and accepting trust within the blockchain, the application itself as a tool, especially with sensitive information or sensitive industries. To be scalable, those challenges need to be scalable. These challenges increase the capacity for blockchain, and it allows for the information to be larger and larger, your data sets, for SMEs, for small and medium-sized enterprises to actually understand their client base and how to actually meet the need of their end user. So it's very rational. And then we have the issue of the seamless communication and the capacity to actually interact with blockchain. This rational opportunity of connection and regulatory concerns and using education to actually adopt and adapt are always challenges. There's a learning curve that is fostered by the understanding and the use of blockchain. So we are looking at the security factors as well. So I just want to share, this is our metaverse, and this is my avatar, where we are going to be able to work directly with small and medium-sized companies to move them forward with the understanding of potential training and interaction and connecting with their audiences, to clone themselves so they could actually meet more of their clients' expectations, to gain insights and comprehensive understanding of their customers' behavior and how they can actually move forward in the global economy. So I would just like to add very quickly that if you're thinking about how you can navigate and actually thrive with artificial intelligence, it gives you the opportunity within Web3 to move forward, to know how to work with large data sets, how to best connect with your customer, how to also understand new technologies, and to thrive in your business and to upscale, which is very critical. At this point, I would like to just say thank you very much and have a good day. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jeannice. Next, let's welcome Ms. Bowie Lau, founder and managing director of MaGEHold.
Thank you, Dr. Jeannice, for such a wonderful educational talk about Web3. Hi, everyone. I am Bowie. Thank you, HKTDC, for the kind invitation. And it's my honor and my privilege here to share a little bit on the topic of get ready to embrace the era of AI and Web3. Since I was invited to talk about Web3, but I think, this is important to talk about what is hot, right? What's happening right now. So just a disclaimer, I'm not here to promote and advise everybody to buy cryptocurrency. As a matter of fact, you need to do due diligence as well as proper research. But as always, it's always good to get yourself educated, which is why I'm here to do a little share with everybody. A little bit about myself. I am a venture investor as well as I am a venture builder. In terms of investment, I do direct and indirect. Directly under MaGEHold is an angel group where I do a lot of direct investment with 50% focus in India. A lot of them actually are in the Web2 space, such as fintech, food tech, electronic vehicle, EV charging station, food pack, as well as cold storage solution platform. In terms of indirectly, I am a GP of a VC fund called True Global Ventures, and this is the fund that specifically focuses on AI and Web3. And we have two funds, totally collected over 200 million US dollar on asset under management. And if you're in Hong Kong, you probably might have heard of, a Hong Kong unicorn called Animoca Brands, and also their subsidiary, the Sandbox. So we are early backer of those companies. As a matter of fact, for Sandbox, it was 5 years ago when nobody knew who they were. We already got into their cap table. The fund specifically focus on equity. If we believe in you, we want to own your stake, not your cryptos, right? So that's the True Global Ventures. And I am not so active, I guess, in terms of investing in crypto space because I really don't have the bandwidth and time. So I did join a crypto hedge fund called Lemons Cap as an LP. On the other hand, as mentioned, I am a venture builder. So I do run an advisory arm helping a lot of companies, especially my existing portfolio companies in terms of business development, market access. And on the other hand, I do a lot of events, educational talks, and my own conference. As you see this picture, this is my own conference called Game On, just finished, organized last month. Hong Kong definitely is the Web3 hub in APAC. Since last October, during the FinTech Week, the Hong Kong chief executive already made the announcement and stated that they are determined to make Hong Kong the FinTech hub as well as the, Web3 hub in the region. They are not BSing. They don't just simply talk, they really walk the talk. Did you know since last October, over 200 Web3 events already took place? And in June this year, the virtual asset service provider license already taken in place. So I think having a regulatory aspect, getting the regulator involved, definitely give a lot of certainty, security, and sense of comfort to everyone, to the general public. And SFC is really stepping ahead and started to do this. We seen the Bitcoin price rise to 43,000, right? US dollar. Ether is 2,400, if I remember correctly. Now, the reason, I think one of the reason why was because US, they just recently got a case about the Bitcoin ETF. Now, they know eventually the SEC will eventually approve the Bitcoin ETF, which is why the momentum started to rise. And you see the price gone up a lot. So, and this is just an example, Hong Kong, definitely, if you're planning to run a Web3 startups and wanted to build, choosing a country or a place within APAC, Hong Kong definitely is a best place for you to consider. Another event that I am a co-organizer is next March. This is something you definitely need to know. It's called World of Web3. WOW Summit is scheduled on 26 and 27 in March next year at the Asia World Expo. So WOW Summit was originally from Dubai. They also organized at Lisbon. And eventually we organized the first edition in Hong Kong this March. Timing was really good because they just canceled all the travel restriction. They removed all the masks. So this is the time we are having the second time in Hong Kong. And as a matter of fact, WOW Summit was the first biggest Web3 conference in Hong Kong after COVID. So this is something significant. And do let me know if you want to participate. I think at the end of the day, joining events is good. Organizing event is very tough. It's really not my bread and butter. However, I see a lot of benefit by helping existing portfolio company to get the visibility as well as expanding the network. At the end of the day, it's all about who you know. So expanding the network, meet with all these insightful speakers, knowledgeable people, definitely will help you along the way. Whether you want to jump to make your career move, or you want to expand your businesses for your startup. Dr. Jeannice already did a great introduction of Web3, and this is a more relatively a simple graph, and which I have no intention to talk about it because she already did a great explanation about Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, so I'm going to skip that. But this is something I guess good to know. Did you know for the Web 2 world, all these centralized platforms are taking advantage of all of us? So if you see the comparison in the Web 2 space, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they are taking 100% benefit from all of us when we make a post. YouTube's 45%, Spotify 30%, and so on. So the centralized platform were really taking advantage from the general public by leveraging all the data we are serving. So with the Web3, that really enable and give us the digital ownership to really control your own data, and you can also monetize it yourself. Which is why if you see, the NFT, the biggest platform, OpenSea, they only charge up to 2.5%, Uniswap 0.3%, Ethereum is only 0.06%. And in general, Web3 platform, has pros and cons. However, that gives us a lot more flexibility, freedom to do whatever we want. I think if you are pursuing to have a startup to focus on that, I think these are the benefits that you can show and show it to your potential clients, users, as well as investors. So get everything on chain. Blockchain, this is, the opportunity and also addressable need. Eventually, the central bank digital currency, CBDC, could be used 2 to 4 billion users globally by 2030. This is the estimation. And 50% of which will be the, DLT, which is distributed ledger technology link. And with over 3 billion gamer currently, we expect about 50 million to 100 million could be Web3 user by 2025. And art and collectible, NFT and digital, collectible could also create new path to content creators. So that really gave us a different path to monetize opportunity. So let's talk about a little bit AI. I think AI, especially OpenAI and their the main project, ChatGPT, now has over 100 million users, active users on a weekly basis, and nearly 1.5 monthly visitors. And now US also has the highest user because the project is originally came from them, right? 14.82%. But did you know the second biggest larger user actually is in India? 8.18%. And nowadays, a quarter of companies, including SMEs, have already saved roughly 50 to 70,000 US dollar using ChatGPT. So I guess I guess it's a little bit challenging for us in Hong Kong to use ChatGPT because it's blocked. But I guess I'm sure a lot of us can find our own way to use it, right? I see somebody's laughing their head and smiling at me. So I talk about AI, talk about Web3. For a little bit to talk about our VC fund. Every 5 years, we do a mega trends to prediction to forecast of what will happen in the next 5 years. And based on that, we want to focus and follow that path and make investment accordingly. 5 years ago, back in 2018, we make the prediction that blockchain in the gaming/entertainment sector will thrive. And based on that, we back on Animoca Brands, we back on Sandbox. I think we also did some other bet that did not turn out right. But one of the bet we did for this Web3 in the gaming/entertainment sector turns out to give us the best outcome, the best performance for our fund. To talk about distribution in capital, DPI, within 25 months, we already gave us, including all the GP and LPs, 3.2 DPI in return, which is above average. Now, 5 years later, we also want to do another prediction, and I thought it would be good to share with everyone. Number one, so this is the prediction we did in January 2023, so beginning of the year. Finally, AI and generative AI will get real user traction. We are right now, we have 100 million active users on a weekly basis. Second, open metaverse cross-chain to become mainstream. Just to talk about Animoca Brands, last month, they just got the announcement made. At the Saudi Arabia, they have a project called NIEM. Is 500, actually, I think it's a 50 billion project by Saudi Arabia. And they have signed a term sheet with Animoca Brands, I think a $50 million term sheet to invest into them. And stated that they want to leverage Animoca Brands' network as well as knowledge and everything to build and connect with the metaverse and the reality. So this is the second trend that we see. And as you know, last November, the FTX disaster that led to a crypto winter as well as funding winter for 2023. A lot of us actually have suffered a lot. And because of that, a lot of distressed VC are willing to sell a lot of their existing portfolio at the discount price, which is why, from our perspective, buying secondary shares in 2022, and the winners will stay, because a lot of the startup who cannot really stay, they will eventually acquired by the existing winners. That's the third prediction that we have. The fourth one is centralization is dead. As we see the FTX disaster, people wouldn't believe centralization anymore, centralized platform. They're more into the self-custody. It's an interesting information to share. One of our existing portfolio we just got in called Ledger, which is a self-custody company from France. We put in 24 million back in March 2023. And they share a little data with us that during FTX disaster, their monthly sales last November actually went by 6 times. So when all these, I guess, problems that happen that affect the market, Ledger actually make a much better sales than ever. So that really proves people will prefer decentralization platform. And as you see the Bitcoin price rise to, 43,000 above, that really shows people are coming back to this path. Last but not least is consumer demand will accelerate the need for security, regulation, and privacy. We are seeing, Hong Kong is taking a really the leading role to regulate the space by having the virtual asset service provider license in place, and eventually now we open up to the retail space, which is important because the retail space people in general public actually face a lot more problem and lose more during these during this time when, especially when there are lots of scam project happening. I think JPEG is another example without proper regulation, the general public just wouldn't have the trust and the sense of comfort to enter. I guess, I wanted to share a little bit from an investor perspective. Lots of people ask what I want to look at. I think this is a really good pitch deck checklist. If you're in a startup space, I highly recommend to take a quick picture of the white part, because those are the check lists we usually follow when we come across a project. But just to give you an example, right? Somebody who will message me on LinkedIn, they will message me and say, "Hi, Bowie, what do you invest?" And I find that this is a really bizarre question because I pretty much list out whatever project I invest on my LinkedIn. So does it mean that means you have done no homework whatsoever, and you just wanted to, open up a conversation by asking me, do your homework, do your research before you approach investors, because a lot of time you only get one shot. It's all about setting up the impression, right? So those are the checklists that I wanted to share with everyone. This is something similar. I'm going to skip that. At the end of the day, the success factors are based on the team, but also a very sensible business model. So if you haven't really decided what kind of startup you want to run, I think those are the key point that you want to take into consideration. And also, failure experience are actually very important, because we learn from our mistakes, right? So I think those are the common failure factors that people in general face, and I think this is good for people to take reference for that. Conclusion. At the end of the day, I think Web3 and AI has a lot of potential, but I will recommend everybody to get yourself educated by attending events, by taking courses. I think a lot of courses are very cheap to take nowadays. Is very affordable. So you really have no excuses that you're not able to learn anything with the technologies thriving right now. And it's also important to get in touch with people, right? So I have 2 QR codes I want to share with everyone. One is the educational talk meetup group that I run. I have over 1,600 members so far in Hong Kong. So please scan that code, join my meetup group. When I have events, most of my events are free of charge, especially for this educational talk and LinkedIn. So, I think that's wrap up for my little sharing, and thanks for everyone for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bowie. Now, we will have Mr. Jonathan Moore, co-founder and CEO of Moongate. Jonathan, please.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Moongate. Now, there's a lot that I could talk to you guys about Web3. Of course, it could be very educational, but I think Dr. Jeannice and Bowie have done a great job already. So I'm not going to repeat the same thing. But Rather, I'm actually going to share with you guys a first-person point of view of what it's like to be in the trenches, being a serial entrepreneur, and kind of ultimately figuring out kind of Moongate's vision. Now, kind of to set the tone, I would say that I'm a very practical person. So I really hate doing things that are fairly intangible and far away. And to be honest, when I first got into crypto in 2016, most of the applications then were very theoretical. It was very kind of far away from my day-to-day life. And so even though I got involved so early, I never really built a project. At that time, I was just a speculator, investing in ICOs, pre-sales, DeFi summers, NFT, etc. Now, and really that's kind of the main reason why instead of going into Web3, I decided to start off my career in the Web2 space. So I actually started 2 startups before Moongate. The first startup was in the food tech space, and we ultimately sold that business to a strategic acquirer. My second startup also had an exit. It was a startup in the property tech space in Silicon Valley. But unfortunately, that exit was actually forced upon us by the regulators, who ultimately shut us down because a lot of lobbyists didn't like our business. But regardless, I think kind of through those business experience, I learned that what really matters the most in business is really solving a real problem. And really after I kind of sold or exited my 2 last business, I didn't really want to start another business until I thought there were kind of real problems to be solved. And so how I actually got back into crypto is actually when I attended an event with my co-founder now. It was a music festival in LA, and we ended up buying tickets in the secondary market for the event. And as you can imagine, the ticket actually ended up being fake. Now, being in kind of 2021, it was kind of surprising to me that tech hasn't caught up to the place where like fraud tickets still exist. And so I was obviously quite furious, but that actually was also quite important moment in my life because it really sparked me into digging into idea of, okay, how do I actually solve this problem? So I really looked into all the existing ticketing platforms like Ticketmaster and really immediately noticed that the existing systems had really poor security. And if you bought any tickets and in the resale market, odds are maybe 50% of the time you'll get scammed. Now, in parallel in the crypto world, while all of this is happening, there's a surge in interest in and trading in something called NFTs. Specifically, NFTs are basically non-fungible tokens or assets that can be verifiably proven to be authentic on the blockchain. So I really quickly connected my 2 kind of dots here and just saw that actually I think I can apply this NFT technology in the entertainment space. And so kind of that's how I got started with Moongate 2 years ago. Now, fast forward to today, I would say we've definitely had quite a bit of traction. So in the last really year or so since we launched our product, we've worked with over 150 event organizers, music festivals, major brands around the world. Now, of course, you can see here, like, there are like large Web3 brands that you would probably recognize, including Binance. We're also like global partners of Avalanche. All of their events are using our tech. But of course, there are also many kind of local blockchain events. Even the Game On event that Bowie just talked about also used our technology. And so we're definitely making kind of a good head start on the Web3 space. But because I recognize that the overall Web3 pie is still very small compared to the big kind of Web2 market. And so that's why kind of earlier this year, we started expanding out of Web3 and starting to see if our technology could be applied in the Web2 space. And luckily enough, we were able to get some early traction here as well. So specifically with Wonderfruit, that's a big music festival that's happening in Thailand in 2 weeks. They have about 30 to 40,000 attendees. They're using our tech as well for their ticketing, as well as kind of CMP Watt. CMP Watt is one of the most, I guess, prestigious organization in Thailand. So they own all the luxurious malls. You can see them as like the equivalent of Swire, but in Thailand. So they're using our tech as membership. Now, I think a natural question here that you should probably ask is like, if there are so many Web2 ticketing and membership platforms out there, like why are these customers actually paying me to use my product, right? It's not like, to me, like at first I came in, hey, is fraud really that big of a problem? And so really to find out, what I did was I ended up speaking to all of my existing customers and really try to figure out why they're using us, right? And the response really just ended up being one of two categories. The first category was that they thought our product offered more differentiated way to onboard customers, especially the newer, more tech savvy, kind of younger generation. The second response was that they thought that NFTs gave them a more fun, engaging opportunity to, again, build a deeper connection with their customers. I think earlier before this talk, there was also like a QR code on screen where you can participate on a raffle. So you already saw that kind of in action. And actually the third piece that kind of ties all of these two together is that our customers thought that using our technology, they could truly convert their one-time customers into their loyal fan and their community members. And so obviously to me, that's extremely surprising because coming in, I was just selling the, hey, tickets are guaranteed to be real. You don't have to worry about that. But as it turns out, in reality, no one cared about that. Everyone cared more about the engagement piece, which, I mean, I'm very proud that we were able to do that. But of course, like having heard that from my customers, I realized that I need to pivot my business a bit and focus more on the in kind of entertainment space. And so what I ended up doing was I actually dug into like the traditional loyalty programs because I thought that what they were describing was really a loyalty product, and really try to understand what was the issues that exist with traditional loyalty programs, really. So it boils down to three main issues. The first one is that right now the onboarding process is still very stale. What that means is like the membership programs that you see at like a restaurant, for example, you just scan a QR code and you fill in your information. It's boring. Like most customers, especially the younger generation, are just not going to scan that QR code because it's just boring and it's just unnecessary. The second piece that I realized was that many of these loyalty programs were very transaction centric, meaning as a customer, you only get rewarded for completing a transaction. So these are more very standard, like earn and burn model. You spend $10, you get 10 tokens. These 10 tokens, when you collect 100, you can kind of exchange it for a prize. Again, that is definitely one way to measure engagement, but there are actually many other ways of engagement that are also very important. So maybe if I share your brand with my friend, or if I tag you on Instagram, those are actually very valuable interactions that should be rewarded. And of course, existing programs don't have that. And finally, existing loyalty programs, even though makes it so that even though you are technically a member in a membership program, you feel quite alone in the sense that you can't really interact with other members that share similar interests. And again, that just doesn't resonate well with the current modern customers. So those are kind of the three problems that we found. And kind of with Moongate, in a nutshell, what we are focused on is a single platform where these brands can very seamlessly onboard customers in many, many different kind of options. And I'll show you a bit later on as well. Second piece is that we're able to allow these brands to reward their customers, not just through their transactions, but also through their interactions, both online and offline. And then finally, we've built in a community system, a CMS platform into the platform so that these brands can actually have a more bilateral communication with their customers rather than just like a one-way email direct marketing. So just moving ahead. Yeah, so where we are today, so we have about 100 different ways that our brands can engage with their customers. there are 5 different ways that people can onboard customers. So beyond just starting out with ticketing, which we do, and membership, we also have kind of other ways you can onboard your customers. There are many ways that you can reward their engagement. And then finally, there's many ways to make your community become engaged through our platform. Now, just kind of being mindful of time, I know we're only supposed to talk for 15 minutes. I'm actually just going to skip way ahead and just talk about my team. Because obviously I couldn't get here without my team. And of course, I've told you guys a little bit about myself. Serial entrepreneur, but I was also previously an investor at Manulife as well, deploying about $1 billion in tech and consumer deals. My co-founder, Peter, he used to be an investment banker, and then he went to VC. Our CTO, Alan, he founded an AI startup right before the startup. And finally, we're joined by an advisor, Stephen. He was the ex-CEO of Asia Miles. We thought it's quite relevant to bring him on board because if we're talking about loyalty program, like who knows it better than kind of the dude that runs Asia Miles. And thankfully, he's also been able to bring a lot of deals to us, so it's been tremendously helpful. And I think on that note, I'll just kind of end there. We're raising around, but then that's if you're interested, happy to talk separately. If you're a business that's interested in exploring like event ticketing or membership, please feel free to reach out as well. And there's a QR code here where you can actually try a demo of our product. But with that said, I think that's the end of the presentation. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Please state. And may we now also invite our Dr. Jeannice and Bowie to come on the stage again for the Q&A section. Meanwhile, if you have any questions for the speakers, please feel free to submit your question via Slido. Okay, so here comes the first question. Okay. For people who are hesitant in Web3, but are hesitant, who are interested in Web3, but they are hesitant due to the perceived complexity of the technology, what recommendations will you give for the newcomers?
So I'll quickly speak to that because I think that's one of the main problems that we solve, is that we've actually abstracted away all the complexity of Web3. So I don't know if you guys got the demo earlier, but I could show you later on again. When people buy a ticket or buy a membership through our platform, there's actually zero Web3 component that you'll actually encounter. So for example, when you create an account with us, you actually just need your email address, and we've automatically created a crypto wallet in the back end for you. So you don't really need to know what's a wallet, what's my private key, what's my 12 secret words. Those days are gone. At the same time, if you want to pay with your kind of crypto, if you have that, that's cool. But actually for most of our customers, they just want to pay with like Apple Pay or Google Pay for these tickets or for these memberships. And we fully support that. And so I think, at least for my product, I can tell you that there is basically no onboarding friction. The most common feedback we get from our customer is that they don't even know that they bought an NFT. So I think for the kind of customers that are, sorry, for the people that are in the audience, I would say like you don't necessarily need to be afraid, because I think the newer applications out there have been built with abstracting the complexity of Web3 in mind. And so I think now is really a good opportunity to just get in and play around with these products.
Seriously, that's no excuse. If you want to learn, you Google it, right? So it's not that difficult. How to buy, 0.0001 Ether or 0.000001 Bitcoin? How do you buy? If you don't know, go Google it, right? So I guess it's a funny question, honestly, because if you want to learn, there's tons of different ways. If you don't want to learn, there's only one, many excuses that you can come up with. So talk to people, ask Dr. Jeannice, ask around. I'm sure, when you talk and you will figure out a lot of problems that you shares, challenges and obstacle, but you can also share what you've learned, right? So I guess there's no excuse. You want to learn, there are tons of different ways you can get yourself educated, and it's also free. You don't really necessarily to pay for a fee to learn sometimes.
I think you really hit it on the head. It's a matter of going out. Well, if you have a passion, what is your passion? What is your interest? And give it a try. Examine what that interest is. So, say for instance, you may have affinity for climate change. We all are concerned with what is going on with our climate, with our environment. So if you're thinking about the UN SDGs, I would love for you to think about starting there. And from there, you can actually begin to look at blockchain and other entities within the technology space that could actually support your passion. We had a blockchain hackathon in South Africa that actually was streamed internationally. We had 125 teams. So those are just individuals that were interested in climate change, and they learned technology. They learned about blockchain. They learned and understood that you could do predictive analysis through AI and building out your algorithms through machine learning and really engaging those technologies in a hybrid situation, meaning you're bringing them together in a neural network to actually move it forward to get the output that they wanted. So the amalgamation, if you will, or integration of various technologies. Just have a passion and go from there.
Thank you very much for your precious recommendation to our newcomers. So we also have another question. Which sectors within Web3 do you find the most promising for investment opportunities, and why?
AI. Drop the mic. I really believe that AI is the place to invest. It's iterative. You can train the AI. We're all training the AI. Everyone has a cell phone. You're actually training the AI. If you have not received a message on your Google, if you've Googled as an adjective, then you will receive that message, and it will ask you, will you opt in to AI? And even if you don't opt in, you're still using artificial intelligence. So AI is definitely the place to be. That's your larger scope that's going to impact all industries, all domains.
Yeah, I kind of agree. So, but I want to add on to that. Specifically, I think if there's from investors and investment opportunity perspective, Web3/AI will thrive in the education sector. We are looking into some project where there's an education platform where all the teachers, as general public, share the content. All the content actually are IP, right? And when used to be able to only share in one single classroom, but they actually tokenize all these content into a non-fungible token, NFT, and they can distribute the copyright to whoever buys in. So teachers, as the IP creator, can monetize it directly instead of, you only get to share with one single classroom, but now you can share to everybody. And you can own the data, you monetize it. I think that's the platform that has a lot of potential. So I think AI/Web3 in the education sector will have lots of opportunities.
So I actually have a fund for myself as well. And we've been investing in just infrastructure deals that I personally work with through Moongate. And these are what I would call like mission critical infrastructures, where without them, we couldn't operate. And obviously by using them, they saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And obviously because of that, I want to give them millions of dollars. And so we did.
May I add also to what you were saying, Bonnie, in regard to the education and AI and Web3? Think about the metaverse. Many of you have seen the avatars that I shared with you. That is a space also where there's great impact. So bringing education into the metaverse is the next phase as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jeannice. Bowie and John have been very insightful sharing, and I'm sure the audiences has learned a lot from y'all. So now, may I invite you all for a group photo? Thank you. Thank you very much, and please be seated.
At SmoothBiz, we're on a mission to make business easier for small and mid-size enterprises. Introducing Smooth, your all-in-one digital workspace for company secretarial management. And now, meet Smooth ESG, your AI intelligence tool for ESG readiness. Navigate the complexities of environmental, social, and governance factors with ease. Join SmoothBiz for a seamless journey to growth. Visit our website to explore Smooth and Smooth ESG today.